Hello, I'm Julia Cordova. Thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel and liking my videos. I really appreciate it. So last week I had talked about taking the short when we got to resistance, and I did just that live on Twitter, and yay, it went down from that level, but also then popped a little bit back up. So this week, all the money is resting on whether or not we get back above that resistance and break the F out, or perhaps we might have some more downwards action, some consolidation below resistance, and then look for another level below that to get long and then come back up. So, oh boy, exciting week coming up. When I was looking at the different setups, I'll show you the levels I'm looking at in the markets. But I also believe that potentially we will close oil a little bit lower than it is this week, next week. And then also, I think we're going to see some continuance in the precious metals sector and in miners, I think. So, with that said, let's talk charts. You ready? All right. Okay, so let's start off by looking at ES or SPX weekly futures. So this is a very important line. It was dotted before because I didn't like it because I added it in later, but look how good it is. So it started all the way back here in 2015, in September of 2015. It got a low test, and then, we pretty much danced around some of the high points in 2016, and then it's the previous high before the pandemic, if that made any sense. So this is a very important line. It doesn't mean that we will bounce down directly from it. It doesn't mean that we won't go above it, okay? But it's an important line because we haven't closed above it or even been above it since 2016. So very important line. Now we do have also some RSI divergence. Doesn't mean much. Look how long we've had RSI divergence. But basically what I'm saying is if we get above this price point, which on the weekly is 44.30-ish, and this resistance at the same time, it's going to be a massive breakout that will then need to hold. So very important levels. It doesn't mean, by the way, we could dance up and not do anything for a while, similarly to what happened here. Kind of just keep hitting at it, keep hitting at it. It's very possible. But I wanted to make you aware of it because if we get above it, it's going to be supremely important for bulls to hold it. And then it might be superty bullish if they do. Okay, so definitely watching that level from above, from below, and then potentially from above, but definitely watching it right now. Okay, now we bought, and way back when, it seems a long time ago, but 2 weeks ago we bought this support and now we've held it. So let's see what happens here. I'm gonna watch how 43.70 to 43.80 acts if we get back there, because that will be very important. And let's look at the daily to get more color, because it's actually, like, as much as I'd just like to be like bearish, it's not as of yet. Exactly, and I'll show you why. So thank you for the tips, by the way, guys. Look what I learned to do. Okay, here is the daily. Okay, as much, like I said, I'd like to be like, ooh, it's going down, but in all reality, look at this. Is this a bull flag? Yeah, it looks like a bull flag, which means it's not bad. I'm just icking because, like, it's just been going up, but that's okay. It means that for Sunday night / Monday, here are the pivots I am watching. We closed exactly on this line. This is like one of my favorite slopes ever. This one here, this slope. Anyway, we closed exactly on this line. I am watching above 44.02. It's going to start to look super bullish. Again, it has to hold there if it gets there, right? But it's going to start to look super bullish above there, because also, if it gets much above there, it'll be too many wicks too close to each other. And then moon gravity, it's going to pull it up, okay? Above 44.23, it's probably going to go back up to that weekly resistance of 44.30-ish, okay? So if, however, it opens on the weak side and then kind of may go above, where it closed and come back down, then we're not going to be for sure about whether or not this is a bull flag until we see how it acts when it gets here to this next support at 4368.5. Okay, so oh boy. Yeah, we have divergence I talked about. We have a potential bull flag. It looks to me like it's a bull flag. So it's going to need to break down or have a fakey breaky for bears. But otherwise, if it breaks above here, it's going to be bullish. It's going to look bullish. It's going to be bullish. All right, let's look at Nasdaq. Okay, this is the weekly. So I had drawn in this line here because this has been our previous, like if it closes above, you know, then potentially it was an early warning sign of a breakout. But last week it did not. Last week we got some downwards action in the Nasdaq, just like in the ES or S&P 500. And so for this week, I am watching 15025 as sort of the is it or isn't it? Doesn't mean it won't get above it and go back below, but that's sort of what I'm watching on a larger scale. And then finally, we've never actually hit this measured move resistance I had of 15209. So it is very possible that we will hit that 15209, in which case I will be watching all of the indices there because that's going to be very important for both bulls and bears if it gets up there. Okay, that is super important. All right, now let's look at the daily. This is nice. I like this. Okay, so you know, I drew in some more lines here on RSI, and you know, you'd think you're like, did you draw that in just to make it happen? But no, I did not. I actually got that slope from way back here, okay, like a year ago, like the pandemic low and then the high afterwards of RSI. That's where it comes from. Anywho, we are on support right now on the daily of Nasdaq. And doesn't this look like similar? It could be, well, triangle, bull flag, whatever. It looks like it's consolidating below resistance. So for Monday, I have a similar slope here. I'm watching in the daily as the weekly, not exactly the same, but I'm watching 15081 on the daily. Okay, above there, it's going to start to look super bullish all the way to resistance. Okay, now let's look at Bitcoin. All right, so I had been bearish Bitcoin because I just thought the chart looked like poop. But that said, when it got above this orange line, I had said, geez, now it's looking like it's potentially going to hit this blue target, which is 44,300. So now for me, all of the marbles, so to speak, rest on if it hits 44,300, whether how it reacts to that. So because of this, I'm going to call it a flagpole, even though it hasn't flagged yet. Doesn't it look like a pole? So right now it's consolidating after very many days of up, and then we'll see what shape that consolidation takes. But 44,300 is the next resistance. And then if it gets back below this orange line here, then that will again be bearish. Okay. And I don't know when that'll hit. I never know. I don't know where to put the marker, but this is a very good slope. I like it a lot. It's performed very well for us in the past. So we'll just watch, and I will update you on Twitter if I see anything really interesting. I'm actually no skin in that game right now. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum, well, right before I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's breaking the F out again. Okay, so I had said that if it, you know, if it held this pink line, it would hit the screen resistance, which it pretty much did. Very close, very close. And then actually, though, it still held the pink line even after taking a back test to it. And then it's just gone straight up, very similarly to how Bitcoin is done. And now it's already above what I have as the next resistance, which is 2513.43 today. So I'll go ahead and move it. Okay. So for tomorrow, which is Monday, if it can hold 2520-ish, then it will have held that breakout and it will continue to go up. But it wouldn't surprise me at all to see some consolidation here after so many grinding days up. So I don't know, but I would expect it to sort of consolidate and then make a decision on which way it's going. But for now, congrats to bulls, because it's really, you know, just because its RSI is way up here doesn't mean it can't continue to go way high up. However, I am going to just make this, okay, just so we know. I mean, that's way up there that I can get to. But anywho, all right. Now let's look at GDX or miners. So yay. So last week I had said my plan was to wait until the end of the week to take a position, right? And if it, because I knew it was either, I didn't know, I don't know anything, and no one knows anything, but my theory was, my hypothesis, I don't know what it was that it would either bounce here at this blue line, which I wanted it to, or it would go all the way down here and potentially make a giant W. And then when the market was weak earlier in the week, I said, and it looks like gold miners were headed up despite the weakness. I was like, oh, that was a bad plan. I don't want to wait, because potentially if they're showing strength on a day of weakness, then potentially the people who would sort of set this up to sort of get all the bulls off the boat are going to potentially squeeze it. And that is exactly what happened. So yay, I hope you got a piece of that action with me. I did update on Twitter because I was like, oh, that's not my plan. I better say something. Yeah, I was just like, and when I was watching it happen, I was like, ooh, that's a bad plan. Well, it was a good plan until I had that opportunity, and then the plan changed. So, all right, that's good. I expect, I do expect that potentially we will have another up week, if not a week of chop, which is also fine after such a nice week. But yeah, I expect the momentum to either consolidate or continue upwards this next week. That was my expectation. All right, let's look at gold. Gold. Okay. Ooh. So we did bounce down from the same trend line again here on the hourly. What? Yeah, we bounced down again. However, we do have an hourly gap here that I am hopeful that we will fill sooner rather than later, right? Because the sooner we fill the hourly gap, which don't usually stay open too long on gold, the more bullish I will be longer term. If we can fill the hourly gap quickly, yay. Okay, then let's look for a place to go long if it's not from the gap. But if we don't fill it, then I'm gonna always have that in my brain, and I'm it's not to say we can't go to the moon, but it's just, oh, it's gonna bother my OCD quite a bit if we don't fill that. So I just hope we fill it quickly, and then we go up. That's what I'm looking for. And so from a levels perspective, yay, we finally got a little more. Like, look at this. We're sort of making a little action. Okay, we're making a little cuppy action. Finally, the 20 MA is starting to turn upwards. We're above it. We got a little bit above this 9 MA. So it looks like it's trying to turn. Let's hope that it does over the weekly. Okay. Yeah, that's all intelligent I have to say about that. It's like silver. Okay. Okay, let's look at the weekly. Because last week I had talked about this being a giant triangle. And that's another reason when I went long, I also bought silver. I said it in the comments. I didn't really, I don't know. I'm not like sure of everything. But anyway, look at this. So we bounced upwards from this triangle shape, this new line that I drew in. However, we ended directly on resistance. I didn't change this from last week. It's the same as it ever was. So anyway, if we open the week just flat for silver, we're going to be above it, which I think would be an excellent open. And we have a little ways to go. And let's just call this line, it's not exactly the same as this, but this is an important horizontal and vertical point of 25.395. That's sort of going to be, in fact, above it, bullish below it. Still okay as long as it's holding this 24.91 level, but we want it to get out of there. If you're looking to buy the dip, though, that might be a good place to catch it in between those two areas. And then depending on, and I never know like what your time frame is. I don't know if you're someone who buys and hodls because it's an investment, or I don't know, I don't know. It's very hard to talk to people when you don't know what their time frame and what their investing style is. But I'll just talk about mine. Okay. Um, I bought it as a scalp here, and then I took some off when we went way the frick up, right? Because I was like, ooh, yay. And then I'm still holding some just in case it goes to the moon. Okay. But then I put my stop at break even for the rest of it. And then I'm still hodling my original position in my investment account because I believe long term in silver. I believe it's going to go up. Okay, so now let me look at the smaller time frame charts. Okay, so the 4 hour. Okay, I've talked about how important this slope is so much. And so far we have another bull flag on silver that bounced right off of this horizontal line, right, as the low. This looks very bullish to me short term. And I think that we're going to hit this measured move that would be 26.37. Okay. I mean, I think so. It looks to me like it's going to go up, right? It might not, but that's how it looks to me. I think continuance. Okay. Oops, why don't I have the oil chart up here? What in the world? Okay, let me pull it up. Sorry. Yeah. Where are you? Here we go. Okay. All right, let's look at oil weekly futures. Sorry about that. I thought I was prepared. I was not. Okay, so, okay, we got same time that we bounced off of this, we bounced off of ES support at the same time we bounced off of oil support. I said it live on Twitter. However, I did take much of the position off pretty early, so shame on me, but still got a little something something in there. Anywho, okay, it's above this line here, right? It looks like it broke out, but and it doesn't mean it won't continue up, and I'm completely wrong about this because I very well could be. Let me show you an example. It did something very similar here, right, with this huge pin candle, and then it just continued up, right? So it's very possible that that it will just continue up. But because this is a relatively shallow correction and it went so far out of this and it just continued the momentum, I do think that potentially at least it's going to back test the top of this channel at 71.54. It's I think that, okay. Now I don't know when exactly I'm going to take the short. It might be sooner rather than later, because what I would be looking for would be a lower high, but again, it could be, I could be absolutely wrong about that and it could continue up. So I will just, because it's against the current trend, right? This longer term trend is up. This shorter term trend is, well, we don't know yet. Okay. So I'm going to consult the smaller time frame charts, but I'm going to attempt an oil short this week and see what happens. The other reason I kind of think that it might end the week a little bit lower is, well, I mean, we had some relative strength here. I mean, ES or SPX futures and Nasdaq closed the week down, whereas oil stocks closed the week slightly up. But it looks to me like it had two pushes into the channel and couldn't hold the channel. So that is bearish typically. It doesn't mean it always is. It could definitely go up from here, but it had two pushes, it had two attempts, and it couldn't do it. So if XOP, or this, basket of oil and gas stocks, gets above 83.56 and holds it, then perhaps the oil short is not a good idea. So that's sort of what I'm looking at big time. And then, it did have some divergence that's already played out, but we'll have to see. It's pretty much at the midline. RSI is 50-50 on this one, so I think it has a strong probability of coming back down, but we shall see. We shall see. Okay, now let's look at Nutty, nutty. Oh boy. So I've been scalping it, but and I did actually, add back some of what I sold up here. I did add back already a third of it, this past week when it got to right around here. I was very pleased with myself, but then I'm like, wait, is this a bear flag? I mean, I'm like, it's a higher low, right? And I'm like, but also, is it a bear flag? I don't know. So it's in my swing account and we'll have to see. I am ready though to add again, back again. If it gets to 3.60 or so, I will add it again. I mean, depending on how it looks, but that is my current plan. Because potentially, even though this shorter term looks like a bear flag, this also still looks like another bull flag to me, right? I mean, it can go lower, but right, right. So my two plans are, if it gets back above here, add, or if it gets down to 360, add, and then cut the bejesus out of it if it gets much below that and closes there, okay? Because that would not be good. But for now, everything still looks overall bullish to me. I could be wrong, but it's possible. All right, let's look at coffee. Okay, so coffee went parabolic. And then what I wasn't prepared for, because I don't like it when it does this, it opened the week way above where it closed last week, and then went to go fill the gap, which was okay. Yay, fill the gap, because that was also a back test of the channel. And I did add some there, and then it just continued going down. So, okay. I still think coffee is going much higher than we are right now. But and I don't think this is a fakey breaky, because at resistance we had it down, but I do think that caution is warranted. So here's where I think it's bullish again. If it gets back above 5207 and looks like it's going to hold, it's back to being bullish. Or if we get a dip buy down to this original breakout. Now, I didn't originally have this line on, but I put it on midweek, this week, where I was like, guys, I said this was the most bullish chart, and then whoop, right? This was the breakout. Okay, 46.78. So it's going to be, in my opinion, more bullish if it's either above 5207, or I will add again my final scale if it gets back down to 4678. If it gets back below there, as long as it stays in the channel, I will hold it. I know this is a lot. I know it's a lot, but it's I mean, okay, I don't know. I do believe coffee's going much higher than it was. I think this is just a little like getting sentiment. The people who are late to the trade, I think that's what this is. So I'm not too concerned at this moment, but I will start to comment on Twitter if I get too concerned, and I will consult some fundy people. Anyway, that's it. So oh, make myself big. I hope that you have a fantastic week, and thank you again for liking my videos and subscribing. I really appreciate it, and I will see you on the interwebs. Okay, bye.